So the assemblies have been asked to submit budgets. Does this mean that we have access to the trusts? If this is true, does it mean that we, the people, have access?
Well, this is part of the remedy that we discovered. If you are the presumed donor of the Terry, I don't know how to pronounce your middle name, Terry.
Kealoha. That's okay. Kealoha.
Okay, so if you are the presumed donor of the Terry Kealoha Sam estate, okay, and they are the trustees or administrators of that estate, and either you or your progeny or someone out there in the distance is the beneficiary, then you have the ultimate right as the donor to walk back through the door and say, by the way, I don't like the way you're administering my estate. And I don't approve of your settlement of that mortgage, and I don't approve of your disposition of my land grants and patents, and I don't approve of, you can just go down the line. You're the donor, you're in charge of your estate. Well, in the same way, the state assemblies are in charge of the state's estate.
Right.
Okay, the state trusts.
Right.
So it just depends on whether you're talking about it at a individual level, in which case you get to tell them whatever you want as the donor or the presumed donor, okay, about your own stuff. And they don't have a word to say. They have no way of, and they can't get out of it, because even though they're now addressing public utilities, that public utilities derived from your estate. It's a derivative of your estate. So you still, as the donor, own the entire interest in it. And you can still tell them how high to jump and where.
Sure. But I thought we had a discussion that all of the special purpose vehicles estates were rolled into the public charitable trust.
Well, the public charitable trust is another entity, okay? They created all of these different panoply of different kinds of incorporated entities to benefit themselves, franchises.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
They had the Cesta K Trust, they have the public utilities, they have the public charitable trust. They have LLCs and PLCs and all sorts of other stuff coming down the pike. Pretty soon they'll be naming cooperatives or foundations after you, if you let them. And I think it's important that we just pull the plug on all this BS and put an end to it. Because although they did work out a way of getting paid without reference to their actual employers, it's time that the actual employers stepped up and said, by the way, that's mine. It's not subject to your administration. I'm not subject to your law. Thank you. And start self-governing again, not only in terms of governing your state trust, but also governing your own estate, your own affairs, and telling your employees what you want done, and organizing your assembly so that you can actually control what goes on in your state in terms of the resources and everything else that goes on.
Right. And the state trust is comprised of all of the resources and assets of the geographically defined state borders. Is that correct?
Yeah, well, when you think about, assets of the state that are public assets, the infrastructure, the mountains, the rivers, the underground water, the minerals, things like that. And what they've been doing is basically plundering us for our labor and our individual private assets, like our homes and businesses. But they've also been plundering our states for things like uranium and the Uranium One deal.
Right.
You know, they've basically been just acting as criminal syndicates and running roughshod and breach of trust over the state trusts in the same way they've been running roughshod over our individual trusts. Right. They've been in breach, gross breach of trust, and they've been in violation of their commercial service contracts as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Pretty long list there.
Learn how to become an American state national or American state citizen by navigating to www.theamericanstatesassembly.net. Links to Anna's articles and resources can be found in the video description box. Thank you for subscribing, liking, sharing and commenting.